just wanted to make a quick video on the brake vacuum pump gasket leak on an E85 BMW Z4 2-litre engine. It's an N46 engine. Basically, it's a common problem with these engines. I mean, in my case anyway, I've had an oil leak which is coming somewhere from the engine, and it's basically been smelling of oil in the car. Whenever you start up the car, like the engine smokes, and you can kind of see, I don't know if the camera's going to focus, but down there is the exhaust manifold, and what's actually causing the problem is there's oil leaking, like dripping onto that exhaust manifold, and when the car heats up, it basically causes the oil on there to burn off. A bunch of smoke comes out. So initially I thought it was coming from the rocker cover gasket. I thought it was dripping because it's common for these engines to drip from like this point here in the rocker cover gasket. So I changed the rocker cover gasket and the leak was still there. So I kind of gave up for a bit. But then yesterday I actually put my camera behind the engine because I knew it was coming from behind the engine, and I figured out it was this thing here. And that is the vacuum, like the brake vacuum pump or whatever. So I watched a couple of videos on YouTube, but they were only for the 3 Series, BMW 3 Series, not these Z4s. So it's not actually documented on YouTube how to do it for the E85 model. But yeah, I'm gonna run you through that today. So far, all I've done is I've taken off the strut and the engine bay. That's two 16mm bolts, one over there and one over here. Pretty easy. And then I took off the oil cap, and that allows you to remove this, which is just the engine cover. And I've put the oil cap back on, and I've also loosened 3 bolts, 3 10mm bolts, which is holding this, and I've taken off this, which I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do, but that's connecting to the actual vacuum pump. So hopefully that hasn't broken anything, but I feel like it's the only way to get it off. So the 3 bolts on the vacuum pump are 10mm. There's one in this corner here, one just behind this, so the actual hose line, and there's one right at the bottom. They're not too difficult to access on this engine because there is a decent amount of clearance. So I've just used a small ratchet or wrench, and I've undone them. I haven't fully loosened them, so I'm going to do that now, and I'll update you in a second. Alright, so I've actually got all 3 of the bolts off. I wasn't able to film it because I don't actually have a tripod, but yeah, and it's hard to get angle on that. But yeah, the 3 bolts are off. I haven't actually tried to move this yet, get it off. I've heard that on other BMW models, I know it's quite hard to get off. Like someone said they had to put a flat head in there, like wedge it off, but I'm going to try in a second to just take off my hands. But yeah, it's not too hard to get to those bolts, especially on this engine. I know on other engines it is quite hard to actually access the 10mm bolts, the 3 of them. But this one it's not too tough because there's a decent amount of space if you move this guy out of the way. So it's not too difficult. You just have to play around with the angles, and I've got small fingers, so yeah. But now let's actually try and get this off. Let's see how difficult it's going to be. So I'm going to try and pull it first. Yeah, that's it. As usual, this is going to be harder than I first thought it would be. So I'm just going to grab a flathead and see if it makes it any easier or any harder. I'll try it with 2 hands as well, because now I've only got 1 hand when I'm filming. But next step is basically to pull it or push it that way. And also I know for sure there's an oil leak there, because I don't know if you can see my hands, but they're all wet with oil. So I mean, it's a good sign but a bad sign at the same time. At least I know there's a leak coming from there. But let me try and get this off. There we go. I actually managed to break it free just now with glove on. So it wasn't too difficult, just moving it clockwise, anti-clockwise a bit. So just shuffling it around. Let's see if I can pull the whole unit out. Okay, it's become. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the whole unit has come out. Gonna be careful not to broke it. and the old gasket is still stuck on there, so that's it. And I mean, it does look like it's leaking. Don't know if that's, yeah, definitely leaking at the bottom there. So that's that. I've also heard that you want to keep that guy in the same position, so I'm gonna try not to move it. This long fin here, I'm gonna keep it in the same position. So while I'm carrying out this repair, I'm gonna try not to move it. Also, probably gonna put a microfiber just across there, just so nothing gets in the engine, because that would not be good. So I'm going to quickly do that now, and I'll be back with you soon. I wonder if you can see inside the engine. Why is it red? Hopefully it's supposed to be red. But yeah, I'll be back in a minute. So I have covered the hole with a microfiber. Now, you might think I'm stupid for this in the comments, but I'm gonna leave it like this for maybe a day or two. Please flame me in the comments if that's a dumb idea. I gave it a quick search on Google, and people don't seem to think that it's too much of a bad idea. So yeah, hopefully they're correct. But yeah, I'm gonna leave that off for a day, wait for the gaskets to come. But just before I head in and dismantle that, I'm gonna try and clean off that exhaust manifold, because I'm not sure if it's gonna focus, but yep, there we go. It is coated in oil, which hopefully was coming from where I suspected it was. So I've got some degreaser here. I'm gonna try and spray it down, clean it off, and then when we come back, if there is no oil in there, then we'll know we've most likely fixed the leak. So let me do that quickly. So I put the engine strap back on, put the bolts back in, and I've left the 10mm bolts for the valve cover gasket, or for the vacuum pump, sorry, in the car, along with the other old O-ring. I'm now going to try and dismantle this. And yeah, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the 10mm bolts that go into these two positions, they're all the exact same length. So you don't have to worry about, you know, which one goes where. When you're putting it back in, they're all the same size. So I believe to dismantle this, those are T25s. So you just need to take off those 5 T25 bolts, and then this back piece slides off, and there's another gasket over there, which I also think is leaking. So you can see we've definitely got a leak coming from there, because that's covered in oil. And I can kind of see between the gap that it is, the gap where those T25 bolts are, I can see there's oil coming through there. So I'm pretty sure there's a leak in both positions, or both gaskets. So I'll take that back off, and I'll be replacing that gasket too. So I won't be able to film myself doing that, but I'll explain how it goes after I've done it. I'm just gonna do it now. Cool, so I'm back about 2 days later, and the new O-ring has come. So all I've done is just clean out the inside of this guy, the vacuum pump, and also clean the surface. There was like an oil line around, you can kind of vaguely see it. It was around where the old O-ring was, but I put the new one in there. So all that's to do left is, I did actually, before I forget, I did actually put a bit of like new oil just around this new oil O-ring. It said to do so on the packaging, so I did it. That kind of makes sense, you have to do that for most gaskets. So yeah, all I've got to do now is just put the T25 bolts back on, and again, just as the 10mm bolts, all of these 5 are the exact same size. All 5 bolts are the exact same length, so you don't have to worry about which one goes where. And you can also see that this cover only fits in one position, so again, you don't have to worry about thinking about, you know, how it was before, because it only fits in one way. Like you can see here, this bolt was in the same right place, but these two aren't lined up. so it only fits in one way, so you don't have to worry about that. Also, it's basically impossible to do this without having this move, because as soon as I tip this upside down, this whole thing falls out. So I'm gonna have to do it the hard way, getting it back in, which is just lining it up and going step by step, basically. So I guess that makes the process a bit longer, but is what it is. This had to be done. So I'm gonna put the T25 bolts back in, and I'll probably catch you next time by the car. I might also try and clean this up because I do have some degreaser, but I'll see if I can be bothered to do that, because there's not really much point. I mean, it might actually be useful to check, you know, if it leaks again. If I clean it up now, it will be a bit more obvious. So it probably is worth doing. So I think I might actually do that. So yeah, I'm gonna put these 5 bolts back in, and I'm gonna clean this up, and then I'll see you by the car. And I'll also put this O-ring in over here as well. So there's another O-ring, sorry, which goes in this, like this outer circle here. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but there's a little lip there. I'm going to clean this surface up as well, and then I'll put that O-ring in. So yeah, I'm going to do all that, and I'll see you back by the car. All right, so we're back here now. I've cleaned up the old gasket place. So clean up the hole where it needs to go on, as you can see over there. So it's got a clean mating spot when we put it back on. We've got all the bolts here ready. Again, I've taken off the engine strut, 216 mils as before. It just gives me more access, and the engine cover is already off. So all I've got to do now is just chuck it back on. Now I took a video of where this was, like the position of this straight thing over here before. I took a video of that, so it's helped me get it in like an approximate position. But from what I've heard, it needs to be very exact. So we'll see how this goes. So I'm just gonna try and put this back onto there first, and then I'll worry about the bolts. But it should kind of clip in, from my understanding. So it should clip in, and then you should be able to put the bolts on after. I'm probably gonna chuck some WD-40 on these bolts, just because I don't want any bits on the threads. So I'll update you in a minute once I've got this back on. So I've got the vacuum pump in. It wasn't too difficult. I mean, I tried to put it in at first going off the video, but that didn't really work, because when I was trying to push it down there, that long turny thing on the wheel inside kind of turned, because it caught on this thing, caught on this plastic thing here, and then as I was pushing it down, it turned a bit. So I kind of just had it in this position, a bit more back, and I was just kind of feeling where it needs to go inside the engine, and just rotating the actual turning thing as needed. But from what I heard online, I was told that the actual vacuum pump and the engine bay need to be flush, but I can't really see that being true here. Now the reason why I say that, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it on camera. Let me see if I can get to focus, but yeah, you can see there's a little gap between the vacuum pump and the engine block, by that rusted screw in the bottom of the screen. But if you look a bit towards the top where the O-ring should be, you can see a little black insert there. Now that definitely seems flush. So what I think is that the reason why I can't get this flush is because the O-ring is quite big, and it's not letting me get flush. So I'm assuming that once I tighten up these 10mm bolts, that it will look a bit more flush than that. I'm hoping that I'm correct, but it doesn't seem like I can get a flush, because I've tried to put it in twice now, aiming for it to be perfectly flush, but I haven't been able to do that. So I'm gonna assume that it's supposed to look like this, but we'll see anyway once I start up the car suit. So now what I'm going to do is slap on these 10mm bolts, 3 10mm bolts. Shouldn't be too difficult. But yeah, I did forget to mention a bit earlier in the video, but there are no official torque specs from BMW for these 8 bolts, 5 T25s and 3 10mm. The reason for that is because these weren't supposed to be serviceable, so you weren't supposed to actually take this vacuum pump apart and change these gaskets. But obviously, BMW makes shitty gaskets, so we're gonna have to change them. So they really should have released torque specs for this, but they didn't. So I'm basically gonna try and remember what it felt like when I was taking it off and go off that. I definitely don't want to crack any bolts into the cylinder block. So yeah, I mean, I managed to get the T25s on all right, so I just hope it's the same for these TEP 310 mils. So I'm gonna give that a go now, and I'll update you once that's done. All right, so all 3 bolts are on, and now that's connected. Not gonna put on the engine cover or anything just yet. Gonna see how it goes. Start up, see how it goes, and then go from there. So all I did in terms of tightness was put the ratchet onto the bolt, and I've just basically done a finger tight. So I put my little finger on there and just pushed it until, you know, it feels kind of, you know, I can feel a good amount of resistance. It's subjective and hard to explain over camera, but you don't want to do it too tight. I mean, you know, try it. You got to try and remember how it was you took it off, or what it felt like to take off. That's the best way I can explain it. And if you're worried, don't over tighten it. It's better for it to be loose, because if it's loose, you know, all it is going to be an oil leak, and you just know you're going to have to tighten it. Whereas if it's too tight, you run the risk of snapping a bolt in there, which is definitely not going to come out. I mean, yeah, you don't want to do that. So better loose than tight. Yeah, so that's that. Let's start the car now. This is the bit I'm dreading. So just make sure everything's on good. General check around. Didn't take out any plugs. I was kind of on this quite a lot, so just want to make sure that's all right, which it seems like it is. Okay, let's boot it up and let's see what happens. Gonna move this out here. It's not supposed to be there. All right, let's give this a go. Please no engine lights, please no engine lights, please no engine lights. Okay, key in ignition. That's the steering wheel lock. Nothing to be worried about there. Right, key in ignition. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, nothing so far. No engine light so far. Let's go around to the engine bay. Okay, there's no smoke either. I'm sure by this point there would have been smoke. Okay, definitely a good sign. So there's no smoke as yet. I'm 100% sure that by now they're okay, there's a bit of smoke coming. Don't know if you can see it on camera. I can see it. There's a bit of smoke. See, that could be the oil from last time. That could be the oil from before. I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes and see how it goes, and then we'll go from there. Just forgot to mention one thing after this repair is done, which is to check the oil level. So the reason why I'm doing that is because when you drain that, or when you take out the vacuum pump, there's about 50 ml of oil inside of it. So it's a good idea to check the oil level after, because there has been a small oil loss. We just want to make sure, you know, the car's all right and happy with the oil level. So the way you do that on these Z4s is that clock looking button. I don't know why it looks like a clock. I'm pretty sure you press and hold it. We'll see. Yep, press hold, let go. and it tests the oil level, and then you can see over there it says the oil level is okay. So I was happy with the oil level, so I don't really need to add any oil, but I will check it and keep an eye on it over the next couple of days. And surprisingly, you know, even despite having that leak, that oil leak, every time I would do the oil check, it would always say it's okay. And I think that's just because the oil leak was so small. You know, it was drips, but because it was dripping onto the exhaust, it looked a lot worse than it was. So yeah. So there is quite a lot of white smoke coming from the engine bay still. In my head, I'm going to attribute it to when I put the degreaser on there. Maybe the oil's gone around the exhaust manifold a bit more. It was a lot more smoke than I usually get on startup, so I'm going to attribute it to that, and not to the fact that I might have caused another oil leak elsewhere, which is pretty unlikely. So I think what I'm going to do is just leave it running for about half an hour today, so I can burn off the oil. I'll see if the white smoke stays consistent, or if it goes down and down and down, like less and less and less. And if it does go down and down and down, I'm gonna start up again tomorrow, and we'll see if we've got the same problem on startup. But now, or we're gonna see if there's still smoke there on startup. What I'm gonna do now is just press the brake and see what it feels like. Yeah, rock solid. So it's good news, at least there we haven't messed up the brake or anything. The clutch is all good. Gas is all good. Gas is all good. Gas is Gucci. Revs good. Idling good. But there is a good amount of smoke, so we'll see what's going on there. But yeah, leave me to it for a bit. So good news. The smoke seems to have gone down by a lot. You almost can't even see it anymore, so I'm pretty happy at this point in time, but time will tell what happens from here. So I'm gonna give it a couple more startups over the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, and we'll see what happens. I'll probably chuck an update in the comments, or something like that. Maybe another video sometime soon on this matter, but probably something else. But yeah, I think that is all. So not much smoke coming at all now. Definitely a lot less than before. So I'm gonna leave it running for a bit longer. Like I said, half an hour. It's probably been about 10 minutes since we last spoke. So leave it running for another 20 minutes, then I'll put everything back on and call it there for today. But yeah, if you'd like to see, if this was a helpful video, I know it hasn't been done to these Z4s before. So if it was a helpful video, please leave a like. If you got any inputs, anything you'd like to explain me about, also leave that in the comments. But yeah, hopefully this is a useful video. And I know there's a lot of waffling, but I will put timestamps on the exact process, so you don't have to hear me waffle for the whole time. But I think for some people it might be helpful, me talking them through it. But yeah, that's all for today, and I'll see you sometime soon.